If you've made it this far, thank you for being part of Chloe and Ryan's unforgettable journey. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment and let us know where in the world you're watching from. We love hearing from you. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss tomorrow's special episode. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next in this love story. See you in the next one. Same time, same place. Until then, stay cozy, stay in love. Chloe and Ryan had been inseparable ever since they were kids growing up in a quiet neighborhood in Austin, Texas. Their friendship was the kind you'd read about in books, the kind that felt like it could survive anything. From climbing backyard trees to sharing secrets under the stars, they were always side by side. Ryan, older by 5 years, was the calm to Chloe's chaos. She was loud, spontaneous, and full of energy, while he was thoughtful, steady, and always one step ahead, especially when it came to keeping her out of trouble. But everything changed the summer Chloe turned 19. She received a scholarship to study architecture at a prestigious university in Chicago. It was an opportunity she couldn't pass up, even if it meant leaving everything and everyone she'd ever known, including Ryan. At first, they tried to stay in touch. A few texts here, a call there, the occasional birthday greeting. But as the months passed and life got busy, the messages slowed. Until one day, they simply stopped. No fights, no drama, just silence. 5 whole years of it. And then, as if fate decided it had waited long enough, it happened. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon in late spring. Chloe had just returned to Austin the day before, planning to stay for a few weeks to visit her family. Her old friend Olivia had invited her to a casual backyard BBQ, a small gathering of familiar faces and high school memories. Chloe didn't expect much from it, honestly. She thought she'd smile, make polite small talk and leave early. But the moment she stepped into the backyard, everything inside her shifted. There he was, Ryan, standing by the grill, laughing at something, looking older, sharper, and somehow exactly the same. For a moment, Chloe just stared. Her heart thudded in her chest, not from nerves, but from a strange, warm recognition, like her soul had been holding its breath for 5 years, and now, finally, it could exhale. Ryan turned, his eyes scanning the crowd, and then they landed on her, and just like that, time folded in on itself. "Chloe?" he said, the disbelief in his voice barely masking the smile growing on his face. She laughed, a little breathless. "Hi, stranger." The world around them faded. The noise, the chatter, the music. It all blurred into the background. All that remained was 2 people, once best friends, now standing face to face for the first time in years. They didn't hug. They didn't say too much. Not yet. But there was something in their eyes, something unspoken, that said, "We're not done. Not even close." The BBQ ended hours ago, but Chloe couldn't sleep. Her mind kept replaying that moment, Ryan's voice, the way he smiled when he saw her, the spark in his eyes that hadn't changed a bit. They had talked for a while, catching up on the surface level. Stuff, work, cities, family. But beneath every word was a flood of emotion they both pretended not to feel. The next morning, just as Chloe was finishing her second cup of coffee on the porch, her phone buzzed. "Ryan, want to try something crazy?" Her eyebrows shot up. Same old Ryan, Chloe. Define crazy. Ryan, a 7-day dating trial. You and me, just for fun. No pressure. She laughed out loud, almost spilling her coffee. Was he serious? Apparently, because 30 seconds later, another text came through Ryan. "I'm outside." Sure enough, when she peeked past the curtain, there he was, leaning against his truck, arms crossed, that annoyingly confident smile on his face. She slipped on her shoes, grabbed her keys, and walked out, heart pounding harder than it should have been. "You're not kidding," she said, stepping closer. "Nope," Ryan replied. 1 week. We date like a real couple. No pretending we're just friends. We go all in, and at the end, if it's weird, we walk away. No hard feelings." Chloe hesitated. The idea was ridiculous. Who even does a dating trial? But part of her was curious. Maybe she wanted to know if what she felt last night was real, or just nostalgia. She looked him dead in the eye. 7 days? He held up 7 fingers. 7. A beat passed, then she shrugged. Fine, let's see what happens. Day 1 started off awkward. Breakfast at a downtown diner, trying to act like boyfriend and girlfriend when they'd barely spoken in 5 years. They stumbled through small talk, dodged eye contact, and overcompensated with too many jokes. But by the end of the day, something shifted. It wasn't forced anymore. It felt easy, familiar, like slipping on an old hoodie that still fit just right. Day 2, Ryan showed up at her door at 8 a.m. sharp, holding a to-go cup of her favorite chai latte, no sugar, extra cinnamon, just the way she liked it. Don't ask. How I remembered, he said, handing it over. They drove out to Lake Travis, spent the afternoon paddleboarding and teasing each other like they were 16 again. She laughed until her stomach hurt. He watched her like he was seeing her for the first time. By day 3, things got real. A late-night conversation on his couch turned into quiet confessions, regrets, missed chances, why they stopped talking, why neither of them had reached out. The emotional walls started to crumble, and Chloe couldn't ignore it anymore. This wasn't just some game. Something real was waking up between them. But 7 days? What if it wasn't enough time? What if it was too much? By the 5th day of their trial, Chloe couldn't pretend anymore. What started out as a playful experiment had quietly, almost cruelly, turned into something much deeper. She wasn't just spending time with an old friend. She was falling. For Ryan all over again. Or maybe she never really stopped. That night he picked her up in his truck, said he had a surprise. Dress warm, was all he told her. They drove for almost an hour out of Austin, past the city lights, through winding backroads. Chloe didn't ask where they were going. She just leaned her head on the window, heart racing with every passing mile. Finally, they pulled up to a small hilltop overlook. The place was empty, quiet, and lit only by the soft glow of string lights wrapped around a tall oak tree. Underneath it, a picnic blanket, 2 chairs and a small table with takeout boxes from her favorite Thai spot. Her breath caught in her throat. "You remembered this place?" she whispered. "Of course I did," Ryan said, stepping out and opening her door. "You said it was your favorite view of the city." They sat down under the tree, surrounded by crickets and stars. The view was breathtaking, Austin glowing in the distance, like a million fireflies dancing below. For a few minutes, they just ate and talked. No pressure, no labels, just 2 people sharing space. Then Ryan cleared his throat. "Chloe," he said, "do you remember what I told you before you left for Chicago?" She blinked, caught off guard. Not exactly." I said, "If 5 years pass and we're both still single, we'd give us a real shot." Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. He smiled, but there was something vulnerable in it, something real. "It's been 5 years, Chloe, and we're here. So I want to ask, do you want to stop pretending this is a trial?" Her stomach flipped. She wanted to say yes. God, she wanted to say yes. But fear crept in. What if this was just nostalgia? What if they were confusing comfort with love? She looked at him. Really looked. And for the first time, she didn't see the boy she used to know. She saw the man he'd become, the one who still knew her favorite drink, who remembered her favorite view, who made her laugh like no one else ever had. "I don't want this to end in 2 days, she said softly. "But what if we're rushing it?" Ryan leaned forward, took her hand. "Then let's stop counting days." The silence that followed was heavy, filled with everything unspoken, everything real. Chloe took a deep breath. "Okay, let's stop counting." They didn't kiss. Not yet. But in that moment, sitting, beneath a tree wrapped in lights, hearts racing and futures trembling, they both knew. This wasn't a trial anymore, it was just the beginning. 1 year later, Chloe stood in front of her bathroom mirror, staring at herself in disbelief. On her left hand, a ring. Not just any ring, a simple, elegant diamond, set on a thin gold band. The kind of ring you don't wear for fun. The kind of ring that changes everything. She smiled to herself, still stunned by how it had all unfolded. It happened 3 nights ago. Ryan had taken her to Napa Valley for what she thought was just a short getaway to celebrate their 1-year anniversary. They stayed at a quiet vineyard, drank wine under the stars and talked like they always did, deep, honest, effortlessly. Then on the last night, just after sunset, he brought her to a small garden behind the winery. There were no crowds, no cameras, no big speeches. Just Ryan on one knee holding out the ring, hands shaking just a little. "Chloe," he said, "you've been my best friend, my second chance, and the love of my life. I don't want another day without knowing you're mine. Will you marry me?" No rehearsed lines, no dramatic setup. Just pure, quiet love. She didn't even let him finish the sentence. "Yes," she whispered, nodding as the tears came. Now, back in her apartment, she still hadn't told anyone. Not even her closest friends. Not yet. You see, Chloe had a plan. Her 5 best friends, Olivia, Harper, Naomi, Jess, and Tasha, had all gotten married in the past few years. Each one had teased Chloe relentlessly for being the last single girl in their group. They'd even made a joke pact at the last wedding. "If you get married before us again, you better not tell us. Just shock us with an invite." Challenge accepted. So today, Chloe did exactly that. She invited them all to lunch. Just a girls' catch-up, she said. No hints, no drama, just food and stories. They met at a cozy 6-seater restaurant downtown, the same one they always used for birthdays and celebrations. The table was full of laughter, gossip, and bottomless mimosas. Then halfway through dessert, Chloe reached into her tote bag and placed 5 plain white envelopes on the table. "What's this?" Harper asked. "Open it," Chloe said, trying to hide her grin. They did, and chaos erupted. Screams, gasps, a fork hitting the floor. Naomi spilled her drink. "You're getting married?" Jess shouted, loud enough for the entire restaurant to turn. "Wait, who's the guy?" Olivia demanded. "No. You didn't tell us anything," said Tasha, half laughing, half sobbing. Chloe just sat there holding up her left hand with a proud, glowing smile. "Surprise," she said. "Told you I'd get the last word." The table exploded into laughter, hugs, and mock threats. It wasn't just a wedding announcement. It was the moment Chloe realized something bigger. She wasn't the last one. She was right on time. The wedding was small, intimate. Just close family, a few college friends, and of course the girls. Chloe had waited until the last possible moment to reveal Ryan's identity to her friends. Watching their jaws drop as he walked down the aisle, with the officiant was, quite possibly, her greatest personal achievement. Naomi actually dropped her bouquet. "You married your childhood best friend?" Olivia had whispered mid-ceremony, tears already welling up. Chloe just smiled and nodded, eyes locked on Ryan, who stood waiting for her like he always had. Steady, patient, heart wide open. They said their vows under a canopy of fairy lights and oak trees, in the very same hilltop where Ryan first asked her to stop counting days. It was perfect, quiet, real. And from that day forward, they didn't count anything anymore. They just lived. A year later, their cozy 2,500-square-foot home in the Denver suburbs was filled with the sweet chaos of marriage. Paint swatches on the kitchen counter, dog toys scattered across the floor, take-out boxes from nights they were too tired to cook but too happy to care. And soon, the chaos would multiply, because Chloe was pregnant. Their daughter, Ivara, was born on a snowy January morning. Ryan cried harder than the baby. Chloe, exhausted and overwhelmed, looked at her tiny daughter's face and whispered, "You were worth every delay." 2 years later, their son, Ilikai, came into the world with just as much love, another little gift from God, as Ryan called him. Their home grew louder, messier, and even more full of laughter, but some things never changed. Every Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year, Chloe and Ryan hosted dinner with the girls and their families. All 6 friends, now wives and mothers, brought their chaos, their toddlers, their inside jokes, and turned Chloe's home into a full-on reunion. The husbands learned to stay out of the way. The kids grew up calling each other cousins, though there wasn't a single drop of shared blood between them. It didn't matter. They were family. One night, as Chloe stood in the kitchen, barefoot, holding a glass of wine while watching the kids play in the living room, Ryan wrapped his arms around her waist from behind. "Remember when you said you were the last one?" he whispered. She laughed softly. "Yeah, I thought everyone else had it figured out." He kissed her shoulder. "Good thing you waited. I would have hated to miss this." Chloe turned to face him, her eyes soft. Me too. Outside, the snow began to fall gently against the window. Inside, the house was glowing with life, stories being told, children laughing, music playing low in the background. Chloe looked around and realized something she hadn't said out loud. This was everything she never knew she wanted, and somehow she got it all, not because she rushed, but because she waited. For the right person, the right time, and the right love. What did you think of Chloe and Ryan's story? Did it remind you of someone from your past, or maybe your present? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever had a what-if love from your childhood? Or maybe you're still waiting for the right person at the right time. Whatever your story is, this is a safe space. Let's talk about love, timing, and the beauty of second chances. Also, tell us where you're watching from. Whether you're curled up in bed, riding the train, or sipping coffee in your kitchen, we love knowing where our stories are reaching hearts. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss tomorrow's story. We've got something even more heart-tugging on the way. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for being part of this storytelling family. Your support means more than you know. Now go ahead, leave a comment. Let's make this space feel like home.